Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the PUR and BOXYCHARM palette that was created and came out in March BOXYCHARM boxes. I did receive this from BOXYCHARM, but you can purchase this palette on the PUR website for $36. So if you want to know if I think it's worth that $36 or if I would recommend you buy it if you did not get it in BOXYCHARM or don't subscribe to BOXYCHARM, then just keep on watching. So, like I said, this palette does sell on the PUR website for $36. It is cruelty-free, gluten-free, talc-free, and vegan-friendly. You get 12 shades. The other interesting thing is that this palette only has a 6-month shelf life, which I find really interesting. All right, so this is what you've got here. The shimmer shadows in this palette, in my opinion, are this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, so that whole middle row, and then this teal blue. Some say this is supposed to be a shimmer shade. I might beg to differ. But anyways, I worked with this palette this week. One thing I found really interesting is that if you look here, it seems like I have made quite a dent in some of these shades. I don't know if you guys, if it translates on camera, just how much wear and tear I feel like I made on this palette this week, and that is not usually the case for me. I'm very light-handed with my makeup, but so that's a little bit of a spoiler alert, but they are nice colors. I was really excited to get this palette because we did receive the PUR Soiree Diaries palette in the very first month that I subscribed to BOXYCHARM, and that is a very good palette. I don't have it to show you today because I did declutter it, but not because it's not a good palette, because I was replacing it with something that was similar that I wanted to test, and also because my best friend, love you Jess, really liked it, and I thought, why shouldn't she get the use out of it versus it just sitting in my collection because I have something similar. Spoiler alert, this and the Soiree Diaries are not the same formula whatsoever, but we'll talk about more of that in my review. Right now I want to get into the 3 looks that I did with this week. I struggled a little bit with the versatility of this palette. But again, I'll tell you more about that at the end. So let's go ahead and get right into the demos. demos. The third look got a little crazy, but that's all part of my journey in beauty here on YouTube. You guys would have seen how I tried to sort of clean it up a little bit, and in the end I wasn't like horrified by how the look turned out. It just was a lot darker than I had intended it to be. I will also say that on that third look, I did experience some real staining on the hood of my eyes from probably from the brown and the black, as well as this purple here. But yeah, I definitely had to cover that up with concealer today. And you know, this is just okay for me. Number one, I absolutely would not spend $36 for this or recommend that you do if you didn't get it in BOXYCHARM. It's simply not worth it. First of all, these three shades right here, while they do appear to be somewhat similar, this is more orange, this is more pink, and this appears to be a shimmer shade. I'm gonna swatch it for you here. First of all, can you see how chunky it is? And that's with me just barely digging in. Again, you can see the kick up and the powder, which is really interesting because it's talc free. So I'm not for sure what that means, but this is not really a shimmer. Three shades here kind of all look the same on the eye. It does work good. This one called Nakey I did use as a transition shade most of the week. This is great for setting down primer. And I'm going to swatch the other shimmers for you. The middle row is pretty nice, all except for this one right here, which is called Charmer. So let me go ahead and swatch those for you, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is what we're working with here. I did not swatch this in a good place, but you know, you can pretty much see the color pay off. This one right here is called ATL. It's sort of a burgundy shimmer, which is nice. It coordinates really nicely with this shimmery pink called Bay. And then this bronze color right here is probably the nicest shimmer in the palette, and it's called Alliance. And then this shimmer right here, which is called Charmer that I was talking about, just does not have the payoff. It's really sheer. There's not a real strong base to it. And even as an inner corner highlight, it really doesn't have any payoff. You can certainly see whatever color if you're layering it over another color. Like if you layered it over this blue, you would still be able to see the blue. The blue is really nice. It's not as pigmented as I thought it would be, but it's very workable. But this shade Charmer right here was a real letdown for me. I think it said in the BOXYCHARM something about overlaying it over another shadow to provide a duochrome effect. No, it's glitter. I will say this light shade Charmer that's a disappointment, and this blue shade both, I received glitter fallout on my face, which I don't usually experience. Even with some formulas that other people do experience fallout, I'm very, again, light-handed with my makeup, so that's not usually an issue for me. The black and the brown are okay. They work well. They blend pretty well. However, I wish maybe if they were going to do a black, they hadn't done such a dark brown. It makes it a little tricky to deepen the look when you have two such dark tones. Like a medium brown would have been nice because you have these peachy pink shades up here that work really nice for transition and or to blend out the crease. I just wasn't overly impressed with the looks that came out of this palette this week. I probably will keep it for now and see if I find myself reaching for it. There are definitely colors in here that I like, that maybe can't necessarily be duped out in my collection. One of them being this purple shade right here called BFF. That's a really nice color. But yeah, it was just okay. Again, I don't recommend that you go out and spend your money on this PUR palette. In general, you do get a mirror in the palette, which is always nice in my opinion, but not a deal breaker. But yeah, just kind of a wah, wah, wah. I was so excited for this, especially based on eyeshadows that I've used from PUR before, specifically the Soiree Diaries. It was just so much more smooth and buttery, especially the mattes. And I think the mattes are really what the letdown is in here. And I find it so interesting because this cream base, the brown and the black are all the PUR formula, but these three up here, this shimmer, I use that term loosely, is not like these shimmers, and these mattes are not like the rest of the mattes. So, you know, the big letdown for me is these three shades right here. And again, I would have loved a medium tone brown if they were going to have a black in here. So yeah, that's the PUR palette in a nutshell. I'd love to hear down below if you guys created any looks that you really liked. What shades did you use? Have you found any tricks? I have tried this with just about everything in terms of primers. I've used concealer, I have used glitter glue from NYX, I have used tacky primers. You know, it does work a little better in terms of color payoff if you use a white base, whether that's the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk or another white base. It does help a little bit. It helps the shadows to cling. So any tacky base is going to be your best friend, but specifically to help the colors pop a little bit, I think a white base worked the best. I hope that helps you guys to know what you're getting into. It certainly looks like a nice palette, but I definitely don't think it's worth $36. So I want you to know that, and we'll talk about it just a little bit again in my BOXYCHARM update. But I hope you enjoyed the looks because I really enjoyed creating them for you, and look forward to seeing more like this from me in the future. I'm working on a soft glam right now, spoiler alert. So I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye.